horrifies me to say this, Meghan back on royal property.
F off back to Montecito.
Meghan gets to do a victory lap.
Meghan Markle did not just come back to Britain. She stepped onto royal grounds again, entered King Charles's private residence, reunited Archie and Lilibet with their grandfather, and helped transform Harry's disastrous UK trip into the one outcome many critics believed he would never pull off.
It's giving Harry and Meghan exactly what they want, credibility. It erases the hurts that they've caused over the last 6 years. They've not said, I'm sorry. Publicly, we don't know about privately, but I highly doubt it. But it, in a way, Meghan gets to do a victory lap here because, to your point, she is back on royal property.
But the reunion did not end the questions. It sparked even bigger ones. Why did Meghan suddenly agree to a private royal meeting after staying away from Britain for so long? Why did she skip every public appearance, but show up for the one moment that rebuilt the Sussexes' connection with the king?
But she doesn't want things to be private. She doesn't want things to look like they have the appearance of still being on the outside if, no one can see that they are benefiting from being in alignment with royalty again. Because the Sussex brand was built on the royal connection.
Why did Buckingham Palace confirm the meeting anyway? And did Harry and Meghan just regain the royal credibility their American brand had been struggling to keep? One commentator claimed that Meghan is using the offspring as leverage with Charles. Another argued that she seems determined to protect her royal connections.
With Meghan getting back into a royal property, I think the optics of it are horrible. It's a triumph. The Sussexes, notwithstanding how chaotic and scatological they are, notwithstanding the negative headlines, they've won. And more specifically, Meghan has won.
Before we continue, one quick thing. One thing I've realized is that most families don't have their important information organized in one place. That's exactly why I recommend the Family Vault, a simple, printable, and fillable organizer where you can keep everything from important documents and insurance to medical information, passwords. You'll find the link in the description, or you can simply scan the QR code on your screen. Now let's get back to today's story. Is the couple now trying to rebuild the royal relationship they once walked away from? So, was this meeting a real family breakthrough? Or did one private afternoon give the Sussexes their biggest public relations win in years? Buckingham Palace confirmed that King Charles and Queen Camilla welcomed Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet to Highgrove.
Why did Buckingham Palace feel compelled to confirm that a meeting took place on Friday evening? Was it the Friday evening news dump? Did they hope it would get lost in some, bigger headlines?
Good luck with that.
What was was it Harry and Meghan saying, we hate all of this, we hate the attacks, so we need for you to release that we met so that people know that we're on good terms? What was the point of, why do we know right now? Why are you and I talking about this?
That single confirmation completely changed the ending of Harry's visit. Just days earlier, Harry seemed stuck inside an embarrassing week. Instead of a quiet family return, the public watched another briefing battle. Meghan was nowhere beside him during all that chaos. Then the final chapter changed everything. Meghan had quietly arrived in Britain. Archie and Lilibet were with her. Harry was no longer flying back to California, carrying only a court defeat and another palace dispute.
By doing that, Harry has just completely undermined the argument that he has spent months making that the country is too unsafe for his family.
He had secured a meeting with his father, brought his family to Highgrove, and finished the week with the one moment nobody was allowed to witness, but everybody could not stop talking about. And there is another major security contradiction. Harry argued that returning to Britain was simply too dangerous without the level of police protection he requested, especially for Meghan, Archie, and Lily.
His people release he's under threat from at least 6 plots in the UK.
Very important. He's a very important person.
And Dan Wootton he responded like, this is the most ridiculous, artificial, made-up document. It comes from Harry's office.
He warned that his family faced serious risks, insisted the danger could not be ignored, and made the security dispute one of his biggest battles with the British establishment. Yet after all of that, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet still entered Britain and traveled to Highgrove for a private royal meeting. So, what was all that drama actually about?
where people have not seen them because they use the private VIP entrance and exits at the airport. These two are capable of coming over here in privacy if they want to.
If Britain was really too dangerous for his family, why did they return the instant a meeting with the king became possible? The moment royal access became available, the family that supposedly could not safely return suddenly managed to do exactly that.
It's been a never-ending soap opera to get to this stage.
Critics are not just asking whether the reunion was warm. They are asking what that confirmation really gave Harry and Meghan. Before Highgrove, the Sussexes seemed to be standing outside the royal circle. After Highgrove, they could point to a confirmed private meeting with the king.
What a public relations triumph this is for the Sussexes, a couple that have done so much damage to the royal family.
Before Highgrove, critics argued Harry no longer had meaningful access. After Highgrove, that claim suddenly became much harder to defend. Before Highgrove, Meghan's return to Britain looked completely unthinkable. After Highgrove, she had been welcomed into one of Charles's most private residences.
The titles matter. Having an open family connection matters to Meghan Markle. Knowing that they have proximity to royalty, it matters. So the story only works if Harry still has some doorway back into the royal world.
Highgrove was never just another meeting location. It is the king's private Gloucestershire home and a place filled with Harry's childhood memories. Charles welcomed the Sussex family into a setting deeply connected to both his own life and Harry's past. But isn't this exactly what the Sussexes have been hoping for? For years, their public image has depended on one thing: their royal connection. So much of their influence came from being close to the royal family.
Is Meghan stealing toilet paper rolls in the silver throughout the building? I mean,
Out the cutlery.
perhaps.
Sister.
She's got to have some proof that she was there.
So if Meghan, Harry, Archie, and Lilibet are now back on royal grounds, meeting the king inside Highgrove, that is a major victory for them. They can now argue the door is still open. They can now point out that the king continues to receive them. They can now remind Hollywood, Netflix, and the American media that they are not simply former royals speaking from California. They still have a connection to the crown.
Meghan seems to be desperate to have the links with the royal family, even albeit in these private circumstances, but it shows that they've still got a bit of an olive branch and a bit of a way in to enhance their royal connections.
And that creates another uncomfortable question. Why did the palace allow events to unfold this way? Did King Charles give them exactly the image they needed after one of Harry's toughest weeks in Britain? Did he restore a royal connection at the exact moment their public brand needed fresh momentum? Supporters will argue Charles was acting as a grandfather, not a strategist. They will say he simply wanted time with Archie and Lilibet. And after years apart, family mattered more than headlines. But critics will wonder whether that kindness also created a new problem.
The king is still kind of supporting Harry. I think it's just not good. You have seen what they have done in the past. Learn from that. They have already put a lot of things out there that don't look good for the monarchy in terms of the allegations that Harry is trying to walk back now.
Because once Harry and Meghan are welcomed back into the royal circle, even in private, every future headline becomes harder to dismiss. Every anonymous briefing, every documentary tease, every source close to the couple suddenly feels more believable. Was Charles trying to heal his family? Or did he unintentionally give the Sussex brand the comeback moment it had been hoping to rebuild?
There is a camera crew coming for the Invictus Games. It's always for the Invictus Games, isn't it? Yeah, right.
Royal commentators described the reunion first as a grandfather spending time with his grandchildren, but they also said the real challenge would begin afterward. Would the meeting truly stay private? Would the Sussexes keep every detail out of future interviews, books, and television projects? Or would carefully chosen information eventually surface and turn one family afternoon into another media storm? That is the question the palace cannot answer today.
Will it remain private? And that will be the acid test for the Sussexes and their sort of relationship with the extended royal family. If they can keep all the details quiet, then that might be a step forward in the way that they conduct themselves, going and particularly relationships with the king, and maybe even down the line with his brother.
Reports say Harry assured Charles that he would not speak publicly about the gathering. No photographs are expected. The palace released almost no information. For now, that privacy appears to have remained intact. But trust is not earned in just 48 hours. Harry and Meghan have previously spoken about royal family tensions through major interviews, Netflix projects, and Harry's memoir. That history does not prove they will discuss this meeting.
It is not quite the PR success that they wanted, because they've been told it's private, and private it shall remain, and that will be the test.
It does explain why royal aides and commentators are closely watching every step that comes next. Do the Sussexes deserve another opportunity? Or have they already been given too many? Will an anonymous source suddenly reveal how Charles reacted to the little ones? Will a friendly newspaper claim the reunion was deeply emotional? Will another source insist the atmosphere stayed distant? Will a future documentary include footage from the wider UK trip while carefully avoiding the Highgrove entrance?
Harry and Meghan were bringing the kids for footage for the secret Diana documentary. The children at her gravesite at Althorpe would be gold for Netflix, but they knew if they brought the children over to do that and didn't take them to see the king, it would make them look bad. So they sprung it on the palace. Hence why Harry has suddenly had a change of heart, even though his security demands have not been met.
One single leak could ignite the entire battle again. And the most surprising part is that the Sussexes attracted massive attention without releasing a single photograph. They never needed a picture of Meghan standing beside Charles. Buckingham Palace's confirmation did all the heavy lifting. It confirmed she had returned. It confirmed Archie and Lilibet had entered a royal setting.
We know Meghan was adamant that she was staying put in California, would never ever put a foot back onto English soil again unless someone was going to put a crown on her head. Maybe that's what she thinks is going to happen in the future, but things have changed.
It confirmed Charles agreed to the meeting. The lack of photographs created even more mystery, more speculation, and even greater demand for the details nobody was given. For weeks, the Sussexes kept everyone guessing. The story became one long game of will they or won't they? Then look what followed. They dominated headlines week after week. Every unexpected twist created another news cycle, another argument, and another surge of attention. Whether planned or not, the approach kept the Sussexes right at the center of the royal conversation.
It's on the front page of the biggest selling newspaper in the UK, and that's what it's all about. The way that it's been handled is purely about making sure that everything he does and says, and it's all part of the brand, keeps them current. Will they, won't they be part of Buckingham Palace, be at Buckingham Palace? I feel sorry for the king with this because he's been played, I think.
Their name was suddenly everywhere again. Critics call it a public relations success. Either way, one thing is hard to ignore. After weeks of non-stop headlines, the Sussexes have once again become one of the biggest stories in the royal world. Was that really a loss for Meghan because she could not publicly showcase the reunion? Or was staying hidden the smartest move because it gave her royal access without putting her in front of a British crowd? Because as many observers continue pointing out, public criticism of Harry and Meghan across Britain remains very strong. Meghan avoided every risky public moment. No difficult questions, no uncomfortable arrival, no photograph beside Harry immediately after his court defeat.
The court case was the thing that probably stopped Meghan showing her head in public.
Which, by the way, I think is sad for Harry. I think stand by your man, Rupert.
Yeah, well, absolutely. But she doesn't tend to, if the publicity is not good, she's the last person in the world who's going to put her head above the parapet to support him.
She stayed completely out of sight during the harshest headlines and appeared only during the private meeting that completely changed the week. Critics argue Meghan accepted the one part of the visit offering the greatest long-term value. Harry's public appearances carried serious risk. Highgrove carried royal legitimacy.
Yes, and it could be a bit cultural, Rupert. Americans don't like losers.
Invictus would have placed her directly in front of cameras. Highgrove placed her quietly behind closed doors with the king. It almost feels ironic, doesn't it? Meghan has long been linked with major appearances, cameras, flashing lights, and worldwide publicity. But this time, there were no red carpets, no public walkabouts, and no official photographs. So why remain hidden? Was there an even bigger objective? Some royal commentators believe there may have been. They argue that a private reunion with King Charles could prove far more valuable than only a few hours of media attention.
It re-establishes their royal credentials, albeit they are no longer working royals. The fact is they can pop in and have tea. I hope they had Highgrove jam, which is far better than the Meghan slop that she calls spread.
Instead of chasing headlines before the cameras, the real prize may have been rebuilding a direct relationship with the royal family behind closed doors. One of the most repeated arguments is that Meghan's original California plan did not deliver the huge success the couple expected, and some claimed she eventually realized the importance of rebuilding goodwill with Charles.
Meghan and Harry's American dream, their Californian dream, hasn't worked out, hasn't gone to plan the way that they thought it was. The adulation, the money. We've got to come back to money on this. It always comes back to finances with these two. The money hasn't come rolling in. Coffers are drying up. What needs to happen, Mark? The coffers are drying up. Meghan's astute. She's thinking, okay, plan A hasn't worked. I don't want to have to do it, but I'm going to have to try and swap to plan B. And plan B is we've got to curry favor again with the king, because we may one day need to call on his services.
Royal commentators even use the harsh phrase that Meghan was dangling the little ones like a carrot above the king's head. That is, of course, not a proven fact. Reports say Charles had not seen Archie and Lilibet since 2022. Harry had repeatedly spoken about reconciliation. Meghan had stayed away from Britain for years. Then, during a week when Harry needed one positive outcome more than anything else, the little ones became the bridge that finally brought everyone together.
You have the gift of grandchildren, Mark, and those grandchildren have been dangled like a carrot over the king's head as a way to keep him on side.
Another royal expert argued that Meghan appeared determined to preserve her royal family connections. The meeting restored some of the Sussexes' royal credentials, even though they are no longer working royals. That phrase matters. Royal credentials. Harry and Meghan can launch businesses, attend conferences, support charities, and create entertainment projects. But nothing creates the same worldwide reaction as direct contact with the king. Their biggest headlines still arrive whenever the royal family becomes part of the story.
The oxygen goes out of their attempts to make lots of money because America, Spotify, Netflix, everybody's turned their back because they've seen this couple for what they are. The only thing that they've got left is to not ingratiate themselves, but have a little bit of a visit, be seen, because I don't trust them. I think it will be out there with pictures and everything. I think they've proven that.
A lifestyle launch attracts attention. A meeting with Charles creates worldwide headlines. That does not mean the family relationship is fake. It simply means the personal relationship also carries undeniable public value. Every confirmed reunion reconnects their American public life with the institution that first made them globally famous. That is why many describe it as a victory for Meghan. She regained credibility simply by returning to royal property.
Not just back on British soil, but on a royal property. That feels significant to me.
She's going to try to use them as much as she can.
Harry once enjoyed extraordinary popularity, influence, and access, but later weakened that position after leaving royal life and openly criticizing the institution. He does not simply miss public service. He misses the applause, the influence, and the professional value that came with being close to the monarchy. Again, that is the interpretation of some royal experts. Harry has said his decisions were about protecting his family and leaving a system he believed was harming them.
Promotion of the Invictus Games. And Harry looked happy, and he does look happy in these circumstances, doing what he does best. And that's the frustration, because when he does this and goes well, you actually realize that Harry has made the biggest mistake of his life and going over to California, because he would have been able to carry on doing this without any problem. The only problem was that his wife didn't really enjoy the lifestyle.
But his repeated returns for court cases, charities, Invictus, and meetings with Charles show he has not completely broken every connection. Now he has brought Meghan, Archie, and Lily back into a royal residence. So what exactly has Harry escaped? He may live in California, but Britain still shapes his biggest headlines. He may reject the royal system, but contact with the king still changes the meaning of his entire week.
We're talking about Meghan Markle, who is pathologically transactional.
Right.
And I think that this is a wild betrayal
I agree.
of those loyal members of the royal family who have suffered at the hands of the Sussexes. It's a reward for bad behavior.
He may criticize the press, but his legal battles keep pulling him right back into the center of British media attention. That contradiction was impossible to ignore during the Invictus event. Harry appeared without Meghan and focused on the one-year countdown to the 2027 games in Birmingham. Her absence allowed the cameras to stay focused on Harry, competitors, and the event itself. Some commentators even admitted that Meghan's decision not to attend may actually have helped Invictus avoid becoming more of a fashion and celebrity spectacle.
How can someone so young, fragrant, and innocent be so cynical? And the reason why you are is not because that's your nature, because it ain't. It's because you've learnt the hard way not to believe anything that comes out of the relentless and ruthless Sussex public relations machine which never sleeps.
But Meghan's absence also shielded her from the toughest questions. She did not have to explain Harry's court defeat. She did not have to answer why the family could quietly return to Britain after years of security concerns. She did not have to stand beside Harry while reporters questioned whether the palace had rejected their accommodation request. She stayed completely silent until the successful family meeting had already taken place. And now, the security debate is facing fresh scrutiny.
Security is the ultimate red herring. It's blackmailing from the Sussexes to say, look, we don't feel safe. Well, this visit, obviously, they've been going around. There will have always been a level of security for the Sussexes. So that's why the security issue is a red herring and now needs to be, now she's back, she can't use that anymore as an excuse for coming to this country.
Harry has repeatedly said he does not feel comfortable bringing Meghan and the offspring to Britain without the level of protection he believes they need. Yet, the family traveled to Highgrove without any public incident, and their movement stayed secret until the meeting was already over. Critics argue that proves the security concerns were overstated. That conclusion is far too simple. One successful private visit does not resolve Harry's legal or practical concerns about future protection.
So glad Prince Harry took police off the London streets from fighting crimes to manage this massive, massive crowd. It's journalists, look.
Highgrove is a tightly controlled location, and special security arrangements may have been made specifically for this visit. But the public optics remain difficult. The family arrived, the secrecy worked, the visit was completed. So many people will ask, if everything worked this time, why was Britain repeatedly described as almost impossible for the whole family to visit? The Sussexes now face another uncomfortable comparison involving Meghan's father, Thomas Markle.
What about Thomas Markle? Does he not get a look in? If she's so keen, you know, Harry, with his father recovering from cancer and still having treatment, you know, the other side, you know, repair the family connections, however hard it might be. And the Markle family is as dysfunctional at times, maybe even more so than our own royal family. So I think, you know, maybe it's the time to take a long, hard look and say, well, perhaps from a PR perspective, we need to seal the deal everywhere.
Several commentators questioned why rebuilding contact with Harry's father appears so important while Meghan remains estranged from her own. The situations are not the same, and nobody outside the family knows every private detail behind either relationship. But if this reunion is presented as evidence that grandchildren should know their grandfather, critics will naturally ask why the same reasoning does not also apply to Meghan's family. Then comes the biggest unanswered question of them all. Why did Buckingham Palace confirm the meeting while Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lily were reportedly still in Britain?
Private moment from the firm's point of view, but it might not be so private for Meghan and Harry. You just have to worry that this could be more material for another Netflix documentary
or a future book.
If security required complete secrecy, why not wait until the family had already left? If the reunion was entirely private, why confirm it at all? Did the palace want to control the story before another source revealed it? Did Harry and Meghan want public confirmation that the meeting really happened? Or did both sides decide one brief statement was safer than days of competing reports? We simply do not know.
Once the Sussex team started to build anticipation for this trip, because it was them, they did with their numerous leaks, that if they didn't get their way, King Charles is now repositioned as the villain, and then they're back into that convenient space of monetizing their victimhood. So what a difficult position that the palace was in. I'm ridiculously disappointed. I'm angry.
Before we continue, I want to mention something really quick. Organizing your family's important information is one of those things most of us know we should do, but we keep putting it off. That's exactly why there's the Family Vault. It gives you one place to organize your important documents, insurance, medical information, passwords, and more, so everything is easy to find when it's needed. You'll find the link in the description, or you can scan the QR code on your screen. That's all. Now, let's get back to today's story. But the announcement completely changed Harry's week. The court defeat did not disappear. The accommodation dispute did not disappear. The backlash over his whitewash statement did not disappear. Yet every one of those stories suddenly had to compete with a family reunion nobody expected would actually happen. Harry lost the legal fight, but secured the family meeting. Meghan skipped the public visit and still returned to royal property. The palace kept the private details hidden, but confirmed the Sussexes had been welcomed. Everybody gained something. Everybody also accepted a risk. Charles gained time with his grandchildren, but critics accused him of rewarding Harry and Meghan without receiving a public apology.
At first, it seemed security concerns might keep Harry, Meghan, and the kids away, but since he split with the family, Harry has had a rocky relationship with his father. Now it appears, though, it was the king who very much wanted this to happen.
Harry regained contact with his father, but now he must prove he can keep the meeting private. Meghan restored a visible royal connection without appearing in public, bringing even stronger criticism about her motives. That is why the next step matters even more than the reunion itself. If Harry and Meghan leave Britain without leaking details, sharing photographs, or creating a project around the visit, the meeting could become the first real sign that restraint is possible. If Charles welcomes them again, that would suggest private trust remained alive. But if stories appear with descriptions of the king's words, the palace will know exactly where attention will turn. If a documentary later uses the trip as an emotional storyline, critics will argue Highgrove became content even without cameras inside. If Meghan launches a project while the royal reunion dominates headlines, commentators will accuse her of turning family access into commercial attention.
They lie like Pinocchio. Last Friday, Eden writes, they all received a long message confirming details of Prince Harry and Meghan's return visit to Britain. It wasn't just the type of short message they sometimes receive, but a long operational note detailing exactly what the couple would be doing after they landed in the country.
Silence is now the test. Not another statement, not another interview. Silence. Can Harry accept a victory that nobody can profit from? Can Meghan accept royal access that produces no photographs? Can the palace offer another meeting without worrying that the private conversation will become somebody else's headline? And what happens if the answer becomes no? Because Harry and Meghan did not simply return to Highgrove. They reopened a door that seemed completely closed. The reunion gave Charles time with his grandchildren. It gave Harry a successful ending. It gave Meghan renewed closeness to the crown. And it gave their critics enough material for an entirely new attack. So tell me what you think. Was this a genuine family reunion that should stay protected from every camera? Did Archie and Lily naturally become the bridge Charles and Harry needed? Or do you agree with commentators who believe Meghan returned because the Sussexes still needed royal credibility? Why did she avoid every public event but attend the private meeting with the king? Why did the palace confirm it? And will details remain secret once Harry and Meghan return to America? Like this video, share your opinion in the comments, and subscribe to Hollywood Yesterday. Because the Highgrove meeting may be over, but the battle over what it really meant has only just started.